And our first task is to establish that COVID-19 requires a telephonic meeting as permitted under Executive Order number 16. So Mr. Dickerson, please go ahead.
Good afternoon, everybody. Alex Dickerson from Metro Legal. Just a reminder that in this, what is likely to be our last electronic meeting, if you are speaking and you do not have your camera on, just make sure to identify yourself. If you have your camera on, you're speaking, you're good. You don't have to identify yourself by name when you speak. But the motion you're looking for, Mr. Chair, is that the proposed agenda constitutes essential business of this body, and the meeting electronically is necessary for the health, safety, and well-being of Tennesseans in light of the COVID-19 outbreak.
So moved.
Second.
And we will, thank you. The motion is on the table, and we will proceed with a roll call vote. This roll call vote will also serve as the initial roll call, and if I leave your name out, I'll try to go in alphabetical order, but if I leave your name out, then please speak up and I will be able to confirm everyone who is here. Commissioner Acker.
Present.
Commissioner Bell.
Present.
And if I will ask, yes, okay, thank you. And if you could just say yes, because the motion is to we need to fulfill the motion regarding COVID-19. So Commissioner Bobo?
Yes.
Commissioner Cotton?
Yes.
Commissioner Cusick?
Yes.
Commissioner Bobo? Oh, no, I'm sorry. I already called you. I'm trying to see who else is here. Commissioner Wynn?
Yes.
Commissioner Hubler?
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay. Now I'll ask, Commissioner Wood? Commissioner Wood? Commissioner Wood, we are, the motion on the floor, Commissioner Wood, is that the proposed agenda be a telephonic meeting in accordance with Executive Order number 16. Commissioner Wood?
Chair, ask him if he would unmute.
Yeah, Commissioner Wood, could you unmute?
Sorry.
Thank you.
Aye.
Thank you. Now, have I left anyone out? Hearing no one else, we will move to the March minutes, and we will begin with everyone has received the March minutes. Is there any discussion, or are there needed revisions or modifications to the March minutes?
Seeing none or hearing none, I make a motion that we accept the March minutes.
Thank you, Commissioner Cotton. Is there a second?
Wynn, second.
Okay, so we will now proceed with the roll call vote regarding the March approval of the March minutes. Commissioner Acker?
Yes.
Commissioner Bell?
Yes.
Commissioner Bobo?
Yes.
Commissioner Cotton,
Yes.
Commissioner Cusick,
Yes. Yes.
Commissioner Hubler,
Yes.
Commissioner Wood,
Yes.
Commissioner Wynn.
Yes.
Thank you. The March minutes are approved. And we will now, our next item on the agenda is Preservation Awards. And we will hear from Scarlett Miles, Staff Member Scarlett Miles. Thank you, Scarlett.
All right. I'll turn on this video so I can see you. I don't have a whole much more to say other than what's in the director's report. Just wanted to give you the opportunity to ask any questions if you have any. As you know, everything is going to be pre-recorded this year for Preservation Awards. It's going to be a virtual program. And we are planning to run that program live on Wednesday, May 26th at 6 o'clock. That's going to go on the Metro Nashville Network 2 streaming channel. I think it's also available on Roku. I'm not sure. I need to check. I'll check on that. But what you'll just need to do is go to nashville.gov and look for the streaming channel. And so we'll send out an invitation that has the direct link to do that. It will also be available on the Metro Government YouTube channel almost immediately because it's pre-recorded, so we don't have to wait a day to run that. We had 27 nominations for the Architectural Awards. Part of the program, the judges, Brian Tibbs, who's an architect in town and also former MHZC commissioner, Claudette Stager, who's with the Tennessee Historical Commission, and Robbie Jones, who is a architectural historian and consultant in town. Those are our judges. They've all done it before. So they've been out judging the projects, and we're gonna meet in a couple of weeks to discuss those projects, and they'll pick the winners. I've been reaching out to commissioners to help with the presentation of the honor awards, and I've heard back from most of you. There are a few that I haven't heard back from yet. So just depending on how much time we have, I might ask a couple of you to maybe double up with presentations since we're going to be pre-recording those. So if you're already coming over to film, it might be easier just to film a couple of presentations at once. So I think that covers it. Does anyone have any questions?
Thank you. Thank you, Scarlett. Are there any questions? And I want to remind everyone when you're not speaking to please to mute so that our audio is more understandable. Our next item on the agenda is the director's report. We have already received a rather extensive written director's report, but Director Walker will be happy to augment that. And I will say in introduction that it is clear that Tim and the staff have been very busy. I don't know how Caroline did all of those things in this month, and I know that applies to everyone with Jessica and Scarlett and others as well. That it is, I'm sure it has been a quite busy month. So I will hand things over now to Executive Director Walker.
Thanks, Clay. Appreciate that. There we go. Sorry about that. We're can you turn the sound down? Sorry for this, where it's going to echo. All right, I think we're good now. There we go. Now we should be good. It's good to see at least most of you guys. It's been a while. We really are staying busy in the office, as you can see, even though only a few of us are in the office as we rotate out. But I do want to quickly go over a few highlights from the director's report that Susie sent out to everyone and find out if you guys have any questions. So I'm just going to jump in and make sure, hope everyone got the opportunity to look over the director's report that was sent out. But I just wanted to note there was a follow-up email by Cyril Stewart that updated everyone on the State Historic Tax Credit Coalition, noting that the governor's amended budget included $5 million for historic preservation. It's not recurring, but we hope it is, and it's a great first step. And unfortunately, it only covers counties with a population of 200,000 or less. So Nashville is left out and the other large cities. But hopefully this is a great first step, and this will continue to grow, and eventually it will cover Davidson County and the other large counties. I noted in the director's report under historical markers that there is a meeting that's being set up for the last Thursday of this month, April 29th. That's a follow-up to the meeting that was a little bit controversial in talking about the Sam Smith historical marker that discusses his lynching. This is an opportunity for us to reach out and get input from the community in the Cane Ridge area and understand their concerns. So this might be brought back to the commission in the next few months. This first meeting that we're holding at the end of the month, that meeting will be a virtual meeting, but the second meeting that follows that will be in person, and that'll happen sometime this summer. And if we need a third or a fourth meeting, we'll do that too. We're going to let the two council members, Councilmember Rutherford and Councilmember Stiles, guide us in how that moves forward. But we're very hopeful. Also wanted to note that historic zoning is really continuing to stay very, very busy. I know Monet can also speak to that. And coming back to the commission meeting this month, they're going to be following up and hearing the consolidation of the conservation zoning districts. And hopefully they'll move forward and either approve or disapprove that. And I know staff will be very relieved for that to be off their plate. I mentioned American Baptist College, and late last week, the mayor's office has reached out to me and noted some new funding that was available for a program, grant program that hasn't been funded by the federal government in a decade. And at Congressman Cooper's request, I'm actually leaving this meeting to run out to American Baptist College to meet with the mayor's office and Representative Congressman Cooper's office to talk about this grant. And I'm very hopeful that that might get submitted and we can help get some much needed repairs and interpretive plan. Maybe a tour of the college campus will be created that talks about its importance in the civil rights history, but also money to help better maintain and renovate their three main historic buildings on campus. The library, the administration building, and Griggs Hall. So I'm very hopeful for that. Just stay tuned. I'll keep you updated as that progresses. Also want to talk briefly about the historic property tax abatement program. Thanks really to Councilmember Syracuse. That continues to move forward. We're very hopeful it'll be put in place this summer. We have a second meeting set up with all the parties plus the legal department that's coming up this Friday. And I'm very hopeful that he'll continue to gain support by other council members in the administration, and he can see that pass on third reading. It's been indefinitely deferred after it was approved on second reading, if you remember, last year. So we're hopeful to see that through. Also just want to, I put in a little update about Sunnyside and that repair work. Metro Parks is continuing to push that forward. Things never move as quickly as we hope they would, but I know Parks sees it as a priority. The funding is through their department, through the capital spending plan that was approved last year. And as I noted, we'll have construction documents finished actually in the next week. We're actually begun reviewing what they've sent us already. And we hope to have at least the hazmat study completed and the abatement completed certainly in the next 3 to 4 weeks. Continues to move forward after the construction documents are completed. It'll go back to the finance department, its procurement division, and they will be doing the bidding process. We'll hope that goes very fast, because once that's completed, you'll see people out on site on a regular basis and work going on. So again, we're hopeful to keep it moving forward, and we really appreciate the Parks Department for all their efforts and moving this project forward and helping us. Second Avenue recovery, you've gotten, I think, maybe at least 2 emails noting that ULI with Metro Planning and other Metro departments have been working toward the vision for Second Avenue and its recovery. They'll be providing their recommendations at a meeting this Friday at 8:30 a.m. Normally, that would be something you have to pay to attend, but this is open to the general public. And I hope you guys, if you're free, will take the time to sign on to that and see what ULI is recommending. We're really excited about it. So again, if you didn't get the link to that, we're happy to send it again. But a lot of good will happen with this recommendation, and we're very hopeful the city will move forward with implementing their recommendations. Finally, I just want to talk a minute about the upcoming budget. I'd really hope to hear from the mayor's office when the state of Metro address would be announced. Obviously, we're running about a month behind from last year. We should know that any day. And once the mayor has the state of Metro address, his budget will be released and we'll know where we stand. We certainly don't expect any cuts, and we're hoping for some additional improvements to the budget, both with staffing and just with our general operating funds. And that's really all I had as a highlight, but if anyone has any follow-up questions or wants to ask about things I didn't talk about, please let me know.
Hey, Tim, this is Chris. Is there any way that we can help the staff or you guys with this consolidation effort?
Chair Bell.
No, go ahead,
I believe you're
Chris.
muted.
Go ahead. It's okay. No, I raised
I
my.
can't hear you.
Oh, sorry, you raised your hand and I
Oh,
didn't
wait a minute,
raise
I'm
my
muted.
hand.
Sorry, my volume is down.
Mr. Cotton, Commissioner Cotton, go ahead.
Thank you, Commissioner Bell. I'm sorry, I was out of order and didn't raise my hand. But Tim, is there any way that we can help as commissioners support the staff with their consolidation effort? I mean, are there emails we could send? Is there anything we could do?
Thanks, Chris. That's a great thought. And yes, you can. Any emails or letters that neighborhoods or neighborhood organizations can send.
Okay, go ahead.
Sorry about that, guys.
That's okay.
Being in the same room causes a lot of difficulty. But yes, any letters you can send or emails to the commission prior to their meeting this month, the Historic Zoning Commission would be very helpful in support of that.
Okay.
And any concerns you have, they'll want to hear that.
Well, sure, but okay, that's great, because if we could reach out to some of those of us who have contacts in neighborhoods and yeah, that'd be great. Okay, thank you.
So Chair Bailey, may I just jump in? So to Commissioner Cotton, and hopefully legal won't think this is out of line, but you know, we have been receiving MAZC. You're talking about consolidation, right? So that's been going on for quite a while,
Right.
if not what, two
Right.
years. And so there has been given opportunity to your, neighborhood associations. There's been letters that have gone out. So if you can do that as soon as you can. I know that, the 12 South neighborhood, you're in that neighborhood. If there is, your board wants to send something, it's because we have a meeting Wednesday, right? So again, just wanted to let the commissioners know we have been working on this. The staff has been working on this for quite a while. And we've really deferred it. We deferred it again this last meeting. So it was giving another opportunity for the community to input. So we wanted to make sure that everyone had an opportunity to do that, because it is a big deal. And if it's not clear to some people, they had the opportunity to ask questions to the MHCC staff. So just want to say that on the first hand. Secondly, it's this question to Tim, and it's on the budget. In the budget, and you mentioned there was no cuts to the budget. Are there any employees, half-time employees that will be hired in this proposal?
Thanks, Monet. You know, we've asked for 1.5 positions. We may not get that. We'll know when the mayor submits his budget if it's part of it. And it's just hard to know. Things are very much in limbo. I believe collections have gone up, but obviously you've probably read the news and you know there's an effort to repeal the property tax increase. And that would certainly, if that happened, have some very devastating effects on all metro departments and the city, because I'm sure services would have to be cut and there would likely be layoffs. So it's just hard to know where that stands. I'll also add that Alex just texted me and let me know that we know when the mayor's State of Metro address will be. It'll be on April 29th at 10:30 a.m. So we'll send you guys out some information about that, but that has been set.
Thank you, Tim. And then I have one other question as well. So the Sunnyside improvements, and I do direct this to Chair Bailey, as he would be having the voice on this, and also to the commission. But, you know, our commission has been approaching the mayor's office for so many years, and we all, you know, some of us that have been in it a little longer are real aware of that. And because this is sort of the courtesy, I think I'm asking about MHC, to possibly send a letter, if it is appropriate, to the mayor's office and to Metro Parks, because Ms. Odom has been, you know, very collaborative about that. I remember our meeting with her a year ago or more. Again, that, you know, our commission, you know, that, hey, commission, we've paid attention and we're very grateful that these funds have been, you know, allocated, because it's a big deal for us. It's a big deal for Sunnyside and our preservation, and for the mayor's office to hear that from us. I suggest that that's important on our mission.
I guess I'll go ahead and respond. I will say thank you for that reminder, Chair Bell. I think they are, it's been while it's been a long time coming, that's because things have been so stretched thin. And so it's important for us to keep that in mind, that as you said, that Parks put Sunnyside as their number one priority. And really it's very unlikely that would have happened had they not done that. And then of course the mayor's office concurred. And so, yes, I think that is a highly appropriate suggestion, and I will certainly do it. I've expressed before, but I think now's a good time to express again our appreciation to both the mayor's office and to Parks. Thank you.
Thank you, Chair.
Clay, I tried to raise my hand again, but I don't know if I did it or not.
Oh yeah, go ahead. I'm sorry. I'm scrolled down now.
That's okay. Tim, would you want to briefly kind of loop the commission in on what's going on with Fort Negley and the trees and Adventure Science Center, just so folks are aware in case anything happens and it comes out, and they would at least be prepared for that.
Chris, I'm happy to do that.
Thank you.
I went ahead and muted.
Thanks, Clay.
Okay.
Chris, yes, I'm happy to do that. You may want to add some things. I'll try to be succinct and not go into a lot of great detail because there's still a lot unknown.
Sure.
But there was an email sent out by a Parks employee to the Friends of Fort Negley board expressing some great concern about a tree planting that the
There's my
Adventure
list right
Science
there. I
Center
was trying to get my, how can I
had
get it up here?
proposed, something that
It shrank.
they've been talking about for 2 years. What people may or may not know is the Adventure Science Center leases a portion of Fort Negley Park from the city. Their lease agreement was renewed 5 or 6 years ago, and they have another 44, 45 years left on that lease. And of course, over the last decade or so, they've made a lot of investments into the site, so they're probably there to stay. Their lease agreement really gives them control of the property, although it's also part of a historic landmark district, and the MHCC is going to review any built improvements. These trees aren't something we review, and as I understand from Monique Odom, the Parks Director, trees aren't something they have any purview over. There was concern that the trees might be destroying archaeological resources. Really, there were concern mainly about the homes of likely African Americans and an African American church that are in the area east of the Adventure Science Center on land they control. Adventure Science Center did hire TVAR, the archaeologist who's done so much of the work at Fort Negley over the last few years, to look at the locations where they plan to plant trees and to advise them. And at their a recommendation, they did do away with a tree, and they tried to make sure trees were planted in the yards or rear of where any houses were. But there's still a lot of contention around if this is appropriate or not. And right now, thankfully, the Adventure Science Center is trying to be a great partner, and they have put that on hold, and that's where it stands now. And I'm very hopeful that there'll be a resolution that makes everyone happy, but that's not likely to happen. We're not likely to know where that's going to end for a few months.
Yeah, just to chime in, I think that's right.
Want to add to that, Chris?
Sure. Thank you. I think that's a pretty good narrative. You know, it's sort of like the classic case of someone has the legal ability to do something, but should they do something kind of thing. So I know that Adventure Science Center, Steve Hinckley and I are actually meeting today. I am hopefully setting a meeting up between Steve and Dr. Angela Sutton, Dr. Lee Williams, potentially Dr. Zay Law, so that they can all get together and discuss. But it is thankfully kind of put off until at least September, and it sounds like the Adventure Science Center is open to just hearing some of the folks in the community's concerns. And so I'm very appreciative of the Adventure Science Center and Steve Hinckley being willing to do that. But just in case it hits any of your radar screens, that's it in a nutshell. And you're welcome to reach out to me about it or whatever. But I'm hopeful as well, Tim, that some sort of, I think we'll get there. I think some sort of compromise will happen. I'm hopeful.
Were there any other questions before we move on with the agenda?
Okay, I'm going to unmute now, Tim. Okay, seeing no hands raised, we will move on with the agenda. And I do appreciate the work of both of Director Walker and of Commissioner Cotton on that very difficult issue regarding the trees, the relation and the Trees and Adventure Science Center in Fort Negley. I would next like to give a kind of a procedural update on the ad hoc task force to hear the complaint that was, and this task force was established out of our January meeting. The task force, as you might recall, is comprised of Commissioners Cotton, Hubler, Maddox, McKee, and I, and me, I should say. We first met on January 30th to plan the process. At that point, we set up upcoming meetings for February 11th and February 19th to hear from Mr. Austin, the complainant, and perhaps from Director Walker. And so our next meeting then was February 11th. And in keeping with, well, and I should have prefaced all of this by saying that these were, that all of these meetings have been open meetings. And I'll also say that I want to thank publicly, or to the commission, full commission, thank Commissioners Cotton and Hubler who are here, and then also Commissioners Maddox and McKee, because it's been for all of us, it's been a very draining and difficult process to navigate through. And then I also appreciate Director Walker's putting that it's been trying for all of us. I'll just say so. And now, when we met on February 11th to hear from Mr. Austin, we listened to some very lengthy, to a very lengthy discussion, and we were advised essentially to listen. But we listened for a very long period of time. And over the course of that presentation, Mr. Austin walked us through the timeline that was part of the materials that we shared with the whole commission, and then gave several additional attachments along the way. Considering the length of that meeting, rather than deciding a lot of business matters or continuing matters with the ad hoc task force, we, as a committee, agreed to have a follow-up planning meeting to draft questions for Director Walker. And we scheduled that planning meeting from February 19th, when we were originally going to meet with Director Walker on this. February 19th, that planning meeting was delayed due to snow. So our next meeting after the February 11th meeting was February 27th, where we discussed and drafted questions for Mr. Walker. We then received responses to those questions on March 17th and met 2 days later, where we discussed the need for additional information from finance or from OMB. And I'll add also that Alex Dickerson has been with us at all of those meetings, representing Metro Legal, and but at this one on March 17th, Tom Crofts was the representative of Metro Legal who was present. This process has been slowed by the budget season, as well as both the finance department. That's affected both the finance department and Metro Historical and as well. And so we have yet to schedule our next meeting, but we'll do so soon. And we hope to have some sort of recommendation and report at the May meeting. So that is all I have to report regarding the ad hoc task force.
Chair, could I just add something without getting into substantive issues?
Sure. Go ahead, Commissioner Cotton.
Thank you. we're obviously limited as to what we can talk about when it comes to substantive issues. So what I really want to address is the seriousness with which the five of us are undertaking this process. It has been a very long and very difficult process. I count all four of the other people on the task force as friends. This has been a difficult test of our friendship at this point. So I guess my point is I need the commission to understand that we are taking this very seriously. It is a very long process. I mean, we at this point have spent hours, if not days, on this, with much more to come. And so, you know, it's difficult, it's hard. We agreed to it, but we want to see it through to the end. But it is a hard process for everyone. I'm sure it is difficult for Director Walker. I'm sure it is difficult for the complainant, but we are doing the best we can under the restrictions that we're operating under and under the guidance that we are being given by Metro Legal. And if the disturbing thing is we're starting to hear, you know, we're getting nasty emails, we're getting phone calls, and we would just ask that cease and let us do our jobs, please.
Thank you, Commissioner Cotton. I don't really have anything to add, but to say I do appreciate the willingness of the four commissioners who are serving this capacity for undertaking this and because as Commissioner Cotton said, it's been a very difficult process that we would like to bring to a resolution. If I don't see any hands raised, and so I will move on to our next agenda item, which is the nominating committee. We typically, well, I will say, according to our bylaws, the terms of office for chair, vice chair, and MHZC rep are 2 years. And we are now beginning the process of the coming to the end of those 2-year terms. And as a reminder, as we all know, Commissioner Bell is the chair of the MHZC, as well as for our purposes here for the office that she holds through us she is the MHC representative on the MHZC, and she is coming to the end of another 2-year term for that. And then of course I serve as chair, and Commissioner Maddox serves as vice chair. So we after some discussion with and I don't believe he is here, Commissioner McKee, I don't think has arrived. I thought he was going to be here, but he was going to need to leave early, but I do not see him. And so, but I will say that Commissioner McKee chairs that committee, and the committee is that over the next week, I will contact commissioners whom I'm going to appoint to serve on that committee. It typically would be about 5, including the chair, who Dr. McKee has agreed to continue to serve as chair of that committee. And so we are going to the plan is to present a slate of nominees at the June meeting for a vote. This is something of a suspension of typically that would happen in May, but with all things considered, including the context of COVID, we need a little more time. So that is going to happen at the June meeting. And that is all I have regarding it. Are there any questions? For Director Walker, is there anything that I didn't say that needs to be said regarding the nominating committee?
No, I think you covered it. Thank you.
Okay. And we're, if Dr. McKee were here, I would offer him the floor, but he is not. And so that is the last agenda item before our ethics training, which is slated next. And so for the sake of time, I will just simply move on to Mr. Dickerson, Alex Dickerson from Metro Legal.
Chair Bailey.
Oh, I'm sorry. Yes,
No,
Monet,
no,
I'm sorry.
No, I just want to get onto you before, I was going to just get there before legal counsel came through. On perhaps because we have new commissioners on board, that do we have a certain, or can we read about it on how the requirements are for, voting in or nominating chair, vice chair, and the MHCC rep? Is there something we need to know in advance of, are we going to discuss this in May? Is that what it is? So the nominating committee meets in May to present the slate in June. Is that the process?
Yes, in a nutshell, Chair Bell, yes, that is the process. And I'm sorry, those were my thoughts and I did not convey those clearly. And thank you for clarifying. Yes.
And Chair, is there some other, like you have to be, is there a certain kind of requirement to be on there? I mean, I'm not saying that there is. I just want to clarify again, because we do have a few new commissioners that may want to be a candidate. I think it's an open floor, and I believe, and it's been an open floor in the past years. And so again, just to say, oh, we've got a nominating committee, but who gets nominated on that? And, but how does that process go? But I'm hoping to just engage that conversation for just a moment.
No, thank you very much. And and that is good and appropriate to make that point. And yes, any current commissioner is eligible and may nominate, one may nominate oneself or be nominated by another. And so, yes, that is, and that is the general procedure. And I will say, typically for the chair and the vice chair, well, there is a two consecutive term limit, and both Commissioner Maddox and I are nearing the end of our first terms, but that doesn't necessarily mean we will continue as for a second term.
Thank you, Chair. Thank you. Bye.
And Commissioner Bridges, did you, first of all, Commissioner Bridges, welcome. I noticed that you have joined us. Were you trying to say something? I saw your name flash up on my screen.
Can you hear me, Clay?
Yes, we can hear you.
Well, I don't know why. I don't know why I bumped up, but that's fine. I had no desire to say anything.
Okay, well, I'll just say we're glad you're here.
Okay, well, I'm glad I'm sort of here. We'll go through the
Alright.
process again. We'll figure it out.
Very good. Thank you. So I will, and thank you, Commissioner Bell, for helping me make things more clear. And for us being having it all be made more clear. And now we'll move on to ethics training with Alex Dickerson from Metro Legal.
Yes, thank you. This is Alex Dickerson, and I'll go ahead and give everybody a chance who's not a commissioner to hop off, since I can't imagine that if you're not a commissioner that you would want to sit through a half an hour of ethics training. But if you want to, it's an open meeting. You're certainly welcome to do so, but it's intended mostly for commission staff. And also, if I could ask ITS to hand me the ball so I could do a PowerPoint with it. Thank you.
Alex, real quick, is this in lieu of that email we received about a mandatory training?
This is the mandatory